and welcome to how to multiply using column multiplication, and we're going to have a look in this video at how to do short multiplication as well as long multiplication using the formal column method. So the first calculation that I'm going to have a look at is 21 multiplied by 3. So the first thing I've got to do is to write the digits in columns so that my ones are in a column and my tens are in a column. Then I'm going to multiply each of these digits by 3. So 3 times 1 is 3 and 3 times 2 is 6. So the answer to my calculation is 63. The next calculation that I'm going to have a look at is short multiplication involving an exchange. Remember, the exchange happens if the answer in the column is greater than 9. So the calculation I'm looking at this time is 36 multiplied by 3. So the first thing to do is to line up my digits in columns, and then the next thing I'm going to do is multiply the ones digits. 3 times 6 is 18, so because I've got to exchange, my 8 ones goes in my ones column and my 10 has to go into my tens column. 3 times 3 is 9 and the one that I exchanged gives me 10. So the answer to the calculation is 108. When we have mastered 2-digit multiplied by 1-digit multiplication, we can then move on to 3 digits. So this calculation here is 232, and I am multiplying each of those digits by 3. So I've lined up my digits, and first of all I'm going to multiply the ones. So 3 times 2 is 6, then I'm multiplying the tens. 3 times 3 is 9, and finally 3 times 2 is 6. So the answer to my calculation is 696. This time I'm still multiplying a 3-digit number by a 1-digit number, but this time there's going to be an exchange. So I'm going to multiply 232 by 6. So lined up my digits and I'm starting over with the ones. 6 times 2 is 12, so I can put my 2 ones in the ones column and then exchange my 1 into the 10 column. 6 times 3 is 18, add the extra 10 gives me 19, and cross out the 1. 6 times 2 is 12, add the extra 1 is 13, and I need to remember my comma to separate my thousands from my hundreds. The answer to the calculation is 1392. Once we have mastered that, we can look at long multiplication to solve a 2-digit multiplied by a 2-digit calculation. So here I've got 26 and I'm multiplying 26 by 32. So I've written both of my numbers into columns, and I'm going to multiply the ones first. So I'm going to start multiplying each of these digits by the 2 because that's my ones number. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 2 is 4, and then the extra 1 gives me 5. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is multiply each of these numbers by the tens digit. Before I do that, because I'm multiplying by 10, I have to remember to bring my 0 down as my placeholder. So I'm going to now do 3 multiplied by 6, which is 18. And then I'm going to do 3 multiplied by 2, which is 6, and then add on the extra 1 to give me 7. The last thing I have to do is to add both of these numbers together. So I've got to do 52 add 780, and to do that I'm going to use my column addition. 2 add 0 equals 2, and 5 add 8 equals 13. There aren't any hundreds here. 7 and that extra 1 gives me 8. So the answer to this calculation is 832. Then we would move on to 3-digit numbers multiplied by a 2-digit number. So again, I'm going to line up my digits in columns. This time my calculation is 226 multiplied by 32. There's my digits lined up correctly in their columns, and I'm going to begin by multiplying each of these digits by the 2 ones. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 2 is 4. Add that extra 1 that I've exchanged gives me 5. 2 times 2 is 4. Cross that out because I know I've added that on. Then I've got to remember that 0. It's really important because we're multiplying by 10 to use that 0 as a placeholder. Then each of these digits here is going to be multiplied by my 3 tens. So to begin with, I'm going to do 3 times 6, which gives me 18. The next thing I'm going to do is 3 times 2, which is 6. Add on the extra 1 gives me 7. And then 3 times 2 equals 6, and I can insert my comma as it's a 4-digit number. Then finally, using my column addition to add those digits together. 2 add 0 is 2, 5 add 8 is 13, 4 add 7 is 11, and the extra 1 makes 12, and then 0 here, 6, and the extra 1 gives me 7, and my comma to separate my thousands. The answer to the calculation is 7,232. And then finally, using long multiplication to help me to solve 4-digit calculations multiplied by a 2-digit number. So the first thing I'm going to do is line up my columns. 3,000 this time. 226, and I am multiplying by 32. So I've got to make sure my 3 goes in my tens column and my 2 goes in my ones column. So multiplying each of these digits by 2 to begin with. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 2 is 4, plus that extra 1 gives me 5. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6. So the answer to the first part of the calculation is 6,452. Then I've got to remember that 0 because I'm now going to be multiplying my digits by the tens number. So 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 2 is 6, plus the extra 1 is 7. 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. And I can bring my comma down to separate my thousands and my hundreds. Then I've got to add both of those numbers together using my column addition. 2 add 0 is 2, 5 add 8 is 13, 4 add 7 is 11, add the extra 1 is 12. 6 add 6 is 12, add the extra 1 is 13. And then got 0 here, 9, and the extra 1 is 10. I need to track down that comma. And the answer to the calculation is 103,232. Thank you very much for listening. Happy multiplying!